have you been? It's been ages since we last drank together, but I'm so glad to see you back bellied up at my particular bar. Want a smash? I mean, do you want to have a smash to drink? You may know it as the less fussy cousin to the mint julep. Have you been to the Derby? No, me neither. I can't afford it, although I do look like I'm made of money and I look great in a custom piece of millinery, and I want you to know that, okay? Let's be clear on that point. The smash has been around since the 1840s. It was incredibly popular. It's a very simple combination of typically mint, fresh fruit, and some sort of spirit, all muddled up together with maybe a splash of citrus, and then you serve it over crushed ice. It's incredibly refreshing. It's fairly spirit forward, which is why we're serving it on crushed ice, because it serves to dilute and chill our cocktail faster and keep it cold. So we're going to start by muddling, and I want you to closely observe my technique. I want you to be quite intimate with me, okay? I'm gonna add 4 to 6 raspberries to my shaker tin. I'm gonna add just a splash of simple syrup, anywhere from 1/4 ounce or whatever you like, however sweet you'd like to be. I'm sweet enough as it is, so I'll just use 1/4 ounce. I'm also gonna add in 6 to 9 mint leaves. Dating during the pandemic was quite challenging, very, very hard to get smashed or swizzled during those dark days. But luckily, I had a very helpful friend introduce me to a mutual acquaintance. And obviously, being a woman of the 21st century, I creeped them endlessly on the internet and learned everything about them, including any women they've previously wronged, any outstanding criminal charges. And I came up empty-handed. It seemed that this was a very legitimate and upstanding citizen with a great professional job and devilishly handsome, because I have standards and I like to keep them like my heels high. As you can see, I am muddling. Come closer. No, really lean in. Watch as I undulate thoughtfully the berries with the syrup and the mint. I'm just lightly bruising the mint. We don't want to leave any serious damage, okay? We're not jackhammering the mint. We're using a certain degree of finesse. This may be NSFW content, but I'm sure you're enjoying every possible moment of it. So I agree to meet this young man, this upstanding citizen, but being the dark days of lockdown and physical distancing, that was quite challenging. There were no bars or restaurants we could go to, and throwing caution to the wind, I agreed to have this complete stranger enter my home. So one fateful August evening, a midsummer night's eve, if you will, he shows up at my door. I'm expecting a very clean-cut gentleman that looks like he rode crew at Harvard, and instead I open the door to discover Tiger King, another icon of the early pandemic times during the Panzania salad. And I was quite alarmed, I have to say. I was taken aback by his particular appearance, because he was wearing a cut-off black t-shirt, black basketball shorts, a gold chain, and his hair was bleach frosted tips as a result of putting too much sun in his hair over a cottage weekend just days before. Just a short shake, because we're serving of our crushed ice, and we're gonna get all that dilution in glass. And you're just going to smash in lots of crushed ice, and then top with your drink. In spite of appearances, which were, as I said, quite shocking, he was quite charming. He was quite a striking conversationalist. We had all sorts of things in common, and I was delighted by his overall demeanor. But being a curious young woman that I am, I asked him, if you were an animal, what kind of animal would you be? To which he replied without hesitation, a seagull. And I, obviously had to ask the follow-up question of, why a seagull? Why the regal seagull? Why is that your specific choice? To which he replied, have you ever worked harder than a seagull trying to get a French fry and ending up with a cigarette butt? To which I replied, no, indeed, I have not. But I was really impressed by his conviction. that helps to open up the aromatics of our smash and makes it quite delightful. Now we're going to make another crushed ice cocktail called the Queen's Park Swizzle. She's a little bit more sophisticated. We're going to start by adding, once again, more kinky mint into our footed Pilsner glass, which we rarely get to employ in cocktails. We're doing around 8 to 10. It's about participation, not perfection. Don't get crazy with the counting. I know math is hard after a few too many cocktails. Again, I'm going to use my monogrammed muddler because I'm bougie AF. And I want to just kind of bruise the mint, pull it up the side of the glass here. We'll just pull it off there with great decorum. Now we're going to add all sorts of crushed ice. In here, we're going to fill it up about 2/3 of the way, 3/4 or so. We're going to add a couple ounces of rum. This comes from the Queen's Park Hotel in the port of Spain in Trinidad from the early 20th century, but it has endured the test of time, even though that hotel unfortunately closed back in 1996. Typically, you'd like to make this with a lovely Guyanese rum, a Demerara rum, to have some intense sweetness. I'm adding 1/2 ounce of syrup, and then we're going to add some fresh lime juice in here. We don't need to be too precious with it. I'm going to throw in about 1/2 ounce or so. This is a very anemic lime, sort of like my ill-fated setup. He was a bit anemic. I mean, maybe it was the combination of the lobster red skin and the sun and hair that was throwing me off. And now we're going to add a few lashings, if you will, of Angostura aromatic bitters, another famous export from Trinidad. See, it looks quite cool like this, and this is typically how it's served, layered from red to yellow to green at the bottom, but frankly, it tastes a hell of a lot better if you mix it in. We're going to use our bar spoon to swizzle this baby because we don't have a swizzle stick, but we're just going to give this a nice stir until we have some fantastic frost on the glass. Throwing ice everywhere, like caution to the wind. We're just going to be fancy and throw on some extra ice. And last but certainly not least, let's not forget how we like to end the evening with our naughty mint. Cheers, friend. Love you, bye.